Hi guys, today I'm out here in the mountains. An unusually warm day actually. It's about 6 degrees Celsius above zero, and it's the 1st of March, so that's pretty warm. I've been tagged by my good friends Nick from Whitetail Bushcraft and David from Fun in the Woods to do a story on how I came into bushcraft. And I must say I really enjoy this tag because it's I've enjoyed all the films that the other people have made. The stories are great. The idea of the tag is that you kind of tell your story on how you came involved into bushcraft and became an active practitioner of it, and that's been extremely interesting, extremely nice to hear all the different kind of stories. Wilderness has been etched in my mind's eye since I was a baby, and it never stopped. So for me it was completely natural to be out here in these kinds of environments. And being here started me off fishing, and especially fly fishing, and I think I started about when I was 11 years old. And this fishing, of course, gradually brought me closer and closer and deeper into the wilderness, because first you are pretty happy and content to fish at a little stream besides the road, and already there you start making up your fire and cooking the fish. But when you get a bit older, you look on the map and you see, wow, this little creek there, it's about 6 kilometers away. How do I get there? My first ever inspiration, external person that inspired me to and led me on the path of bushcraft, that was back in 1988. I was still a young guy, and there was a guy on television then, and he had a funny hat, he wore shorts all the time, he had a cool car, and he was called Major Les Hiddens. Les Hiddens, aka the Bush Tucker Man, and he had the greatest job in the world, I thought, at the moment. He was working, was a major in the Australian army, and he had to find and research the wild foods of the Northern Territory. And there's a research of his that resulted into a very nice TV series, several seasons, in which he showed how he found these, how he got knowledge from the locals. There was a lot about Aboriginal primitive living skills and the culture, and I know I didn't miss a single one of them. I don't know really why I was so fascinated with it, but somehow this connected with me on a deeper level, and I thought it was a great series. It wasn't so that I just rushed out into nature and did a lot of stuff. No, it was not that kind of inspiration, but thinking back of it, it was certainly a person that caught my interest and showed me how to be part of nature and how to live with and from nature as well. But it was fascinating, and a great guy. The second inspiration that led me into the world of bushcraft, that was actually after we moved to Sweden, and I started to see on a Discovery a chap called Ray Mears, and I immediately kind of liked his TV shows. He talked about a thing called bushcraft, and his definitions of bushcraft are many, but I particularly liked the way he portrayed nature and his more emotional, spiritual and aesthetic view of how to portray the scales and how to portray the wilderness in itself. I think he would approve of this image, really. So in 2003 we started our kennel, Huskygård, and that was a major turning point, both for the type of lives we lived, but also for me in the sense of getting into bushcraft. And yeah, it was a major leap in that sense, because mushing is a primitive living skill with a very long history back, and its connection to the northern wilderness. It involves breeding the dogs, training the dogs, and making a lot of stuff. Instead of buying a lot of stuff, you have to make a lot of stuff. The team sections, the sleds. There's an incredible amount of crafts and skills that is connected with mushing. And last but not least, of course, enormous amounts of knowledge about Arctic survival. I mean, you're out there with your dogs, and those are harsh environments. So that was really, really fun for me, and it took about, I think, 5 years for me to get proficient in what I would call the art of mushing. And the learning never stops. You cannot say that now I'm ready with this. You learn every year, both in the summer and in the winter. There is new things with dogs. You have to deal with all kinds of situations that you've never seen before. But in the summer we needed to do some stuff as well, and yeah, I started to do fishing tours, workshops in survival, in navigation, and so on. And this was very much focused on tourists, families, and kids that wanted to know stuff and learn stuff about how to make a fire and how to use a compass or whatever not. It's a really fun thing. So yeah, from the moment that we started with the Huskygård and the mushing kennel, the study of primitive living skills and bushcraft, and especially the focus for me on this type of areas, the boreal forests, really took off. So 2003, starting of the kennel, was a major point for me in my development as a bushcrafter. We got here, we had the kennel, and that was a drastic change, because now for the first time in our lives and in my life, I was now working with nature, in nature, and doing stuff that involved the wilderness. So starting VaraVild as a course company was again an enormous milestone for my personal development in bushcraft, because all of a sudden there was a lot of pressure. I put a lot of pressure on myself to become a survival expert or instructor at least. I need, of course, to know more than the students I have. So in the last years I've been really pushing myself, doing lots and lots of stuff that I never done before, that I know theoretically about, but you have to do it, of course, and you have to experience the problems, and so that was a really, really great thing for me. Getting into the teaching bit of bushcraft, it gave an enormous push forward in my development as a bushcrafter. Yeah, then we have the most recent step in the bushcraft story, or in my bushcraft story, and that is YouTube. Sev kind of nagged me into that. He had a channel before me, and he said how fun it was, and I was never really that interested in the beginning, because I kind of had this idea that to be even moderately successful in putting out films, you need to be a real TV character or have some special personal traits that people would be interested in. And from my previous experiences with YouTube, like looking at all the funny videos and so on, I wasn't all that keen on all the flaming comments and all the rudeness and so on. But then I started to look and search for people that made movies about bushcraft and survival and so on, and I was completely amazed about that there is a complete community out there being genuinely interested and being really supportive of one another in teaching stuff, and yeah, it looked like a great thing to me, and so I gave it a try. I made my channel, and of course it was also somehow in the back of my mind that it would be good to promote the Bushcraft school in that way. So I tried it, and I have been extremely warmly welcomed by the community. I got a lot of support. People love my movies, which is great. And also the other way around. I found I found a lot of great people and made a lot of great friends out there that do exceptionally good stuff and have great lifestyles that really are experimenting and sharing with the world the knowledge they have and the way they do things. And I talked about my earlier inspirations. Nothing can compare to what YouTube today does for me. I mean, that is the biggest and best inspiration to me. That is where I am at the moment in Bushcraft. You can't really be ready with Bushcraft. You can't. It's a complete lifestyle. You will be doing this as long as you can, if you have your health and everything. And even then, if you don't, you probably write books or whatever. I think my tea is done. Right, so in good tagging tradition, I have to pass this on again to 3 other people. It's a bit hard. This tag has been really popular, and I got tagged by 2 persons, by Nick and Dave, and that's no problem, but it's really hard to find people that haven't been tagged yet, especially with such a popular tag. And one person I think you will all enjoy hearing his story is Sev, my colleague and friend here in VaraVild. He's from Sev Nordström's Bushcraft. So friend, if you have the time, please let us know how you got into Bushcraft. And another guy I really have a huge respect for, that is you from Just Bushed, Spectrum Munchkin. I think his story will be quite interesting to hear, how he evolved into doing Bushcraft, and he seems to be extremely driven, and it's a great guy. So I really hope check out his films. They are great films. Another person that I have a great respect for, just based on the videos that I've seen. I don't know him so much, but I think he must have a pretty interesting story. That would be Rainer Snake Seltzer. Seltziger, I think it's pronounced. He's from Survival, Adventure and Trekking, and I am personally very interested to hear in his story into his tracking, trapping, and in general Bushcraft. So I hope all that you have the time. Of course, it's not an obligation. I know it can be a bit of a hassle, but we sure would like to hear your story, guys. I see you all in the next film, guys.